I'm resident caller for YouTube, Joel Sage. That's my buddy Patrick McCray. That's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to do season 2, episode 4 of Hap and Leonard's. Hap and Leonard, they find the church in this episode, if I'm not mistaken.
They don't find God or something, but they do find the church.
Yes, I believe it's the congregation of our irritating friend.
Yes.
Who was trying to preach to them over breakfast or whatever. Yeah. Yes. And we've had the boxing match, or is that going to happen later?
That's later.
Okay, it's like tail end of this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This. I mean, they basically go from the penthouse to the outhouse and back again in this episode because they end up in jail, and then miraculously Valentine releases them. And
they're constantly in jail.
Yes, but in this time, this is where the deal is offered, I guess, and so they're allowed to sort of roam free again. At this point, we're really getting suspicious of old Sheriff Valentine. Something is running amiss with him, and obviously we're in the same frame of mind, I think, as Hap and Leonard in terms of it's just spurring them on to look further and further, as it typically does since they're stubborn that way. Other than having a moral compass, they are stubborn that way. So
that's one of their great powers is their persistence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's made them survivable in certain situations as well. They're as Barnabas Collins would say, their leech-like persistence and clinging to life served them very well against our two psychotics that from season 1. It definitely hasn't gone away in spite of what other injuries have befallen them and what other suspicions have befallen them and what other jailings have befallen them. And this is the episode, I think, with BB really is present. He's there, and we're starting to realize that he's a bit special in terms of all of these other children. He's different. He is like them in many ways, but he's different in the same way. And like that's
the young albino gentleman, yes.
No, that's BB is the murder victim.
The victim, yeah,
the one that was tied to the gate and sunk into the pond or the river or whatever. His presence is really known. Well, yes, Ivan's presence is very strong too, of course. But that kid is just like, being an albino African American, he's fascinating to watch. Anyway, because he's ethereal looking, he's otherworldly looking in a lot of ways from what we're used to, and that sort of is the he's unique in the same way BB is, except he's alive, and he's at risk like a lot of these kids were, but he's unique in that he has somebody advocating for him. He has somebody looking after him as much as he allow them
locked out.
Yes. Although he keeps disappearing and reappearing all the time because he's a runaway, and that's what he does best right now in his life.
What I'm impressed by is that he doesn't do it with magnesium flashes. He throws down and blinds everyone that he's not there.
That's right. It's not
That's how he should do it. Give him a touch of showbiz.
It's like
Um,
Uncle Arthur in Bewitched or something.
I'm talking
Shows up in the omelet. His head pops out of the omelet in the morning. You know?
exactly.
But, yeah, he's on this side of the veil, and BB's on the other side of the veil, and they're both very much present. And even we find out even more so later. But then the big one of the big reveals happens too, in that they discover this crypt underneath the church, which
This is episode 4.
yeah.
Yes, of course, it's in episode 4. I like distinctly.
They
I watched this last night.
Crypt under the
strikes again.
under the church, and it's really a weird situation, but the way it's shot and the way the dialogue goes, it's sadder than it is weird and horrific. It's just all the
Like
numbers.
it's like that last season. It's like the last season of Facts of Life.
Yeah, it would that it could have been like that with all of the coffins and dates on them for all the characters. But that's, you're also getting the thing. Okay, this is a ritualistic freak that's doing this.
It's got a touch of Wicker Man to it.
It's just like, it's in the basement of in the church. There's a crypt. What the hell? And of course, we're starting to believe now that there's a connection between that church and what's happened to these kids, because that's where they are. And no one apparently would think. The irony of it is that Valentine half the time comes in there to simmer down the congregation of African-American citizens, and is never thought to look in the basement of this damn place.
No, I mean, they don't think to look in the basement of Westminster of St. Paul's Cathedral.
Right.
Look, there's Admiral Nelson.
Right.
And there's Admiral Nelson.
That's right. Oh, which Admiral Nelson are we talking about? Richard Basehard or no?
Here's a great Admiral Nelson story. After Trafalgar, he's of course dead.
Yes.
They brought him home to preserve the body in a barrel of rum.
Oh, that makes sense. Actually, I was going to say like wine or something, but yeah.
Well, guess what? By the time they got to port, the barrel was empty. The sailors, so desperate, just drank it anyway.
Oh, they drank it.
Yeah.
Oh, nasty. Nasty.
Hey, those are they're guys. It's exactly. They're guys at sea. Yeah.
That's right. They were going to get their rations one way or the other.
It was seasoned.
Yeah, it's very much so. Ooh. Not exactly charcoal smooth, but
maybe it was better.
Maybe it was.
If he had both arms, not as good.
Mm-hmm. So now we've got this ever widening mystery happening with these bodies, and we also get a glimpse of Valentine in the morgue.
Yes,
which is a real eye opener for the two detectives that decide to hang out there, because they've heard the stories about what happened to these red sneakers and all of this other stuff, and these guys are actually fairly legit. They're trying to actually get to the bottom of this thing, and so but they don't really want to say anything once they see what they see, obviously. And what they see is Valentine putting the red sneakers back on the body so that the body can be cremated with the evidence.
I completely didn't see this episode.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was supposed to watch it for tonight. I totally forgot.
Okay.
So I'm just nodding sagely.
That's fine.
Yes,
you didn't even have to say anything. Just keep nodding. That's fine.
Yes. Worthy observation.
But this is another great build. It's another great,
It's like Jewel during I, Claudius, but without Wikipedia. Anyway, go on.
It's a great. It's another episode that builds and builds, and it's going to build to that, to those final 2 episodes. And the interesting thing is,
So this is just a monologue at this point, and I'm enjoying it.
without giving too much away, the last 2 episodes both have a conclusion, which is very interesting, and it's really interesting how that works. And it's nothing like I've never seen any or really seen anything quite like it in episodic television. The way they do this, the way he does it, it really just it wraps a chain around you and spins you around and jerks you around, and finally at the end of it, it's all satisfactory, but it's interesting anyway.
That quote was on the VHS box.
Yes, that's right.
Spins you around.
Spins you around. Leonard will spin you around in the chair with no bottom. Ooh.
Jewel, have you ever been in a bottomless jail?
No, but you also have the detective Hanson's partner, Charlie, who's worried that his partner will get caught tampering. But Charlie knows that there's more shit going on, though.
Yes, so. He's one of the 2 guys that really, they're legit. They're trying to figure it out. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, because they've come to the conclusion that they know there's dirty shit going on. I mean, they're not stupid. Which I like. You have cops who they're not. They gotta watch what they say because they gotta prove it. So they're trying to sort of low key prove it in a way. So
the ending of this episode is interesting too because it's not like some bombastic ending. They take a bus tour of the town, and they're looking around town, and they're just looking at average people doing average things. Like this town isn't you mentioned Wicker Man before, but the town isn't really like that. The situation is kind of weird that way, but the town is just a regular town. So
yeah. You also Patrick mentioned the boxing, the ring, the boxing.
Yeah, no, that's yet to come.
There's a picture of Hap laying in the ring.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic, and it also there's obviously that builds some tension between those characters as well.
I'm so sorry.
There's a building suspicion there, but at this point too, these guys, Hap and Leonard have both had violent outbursts, desperate to get to the bottom of this situation, which has of course thrown them in and out of trouble. If it weren't for Valentine weirdly sort of giving them a way out of the jail, they'd probably spend their, a significant time there.
Jewel, I have a question for you. In terms of being erotically underrated, Anne Hathaway or Jane Hathaway?
Neither.
Well, it's Anne Hathaway for me. Thanks.
Jane Hathaway.
No.
Yeah, Nancy Culp.
Yes.
Neither.
Yeah.
No. I don't care.
Only if you're Mr. Drysdale.
Yeah. Real men like Nancy Culp.
Yeah.
Joel, you were going to say.
Well, here I got one for you. When I was,
I've never seen one shaped like it either.
On Twitter X, somebody put was it Sydney Sweeney or somebody else, and I put neither. Laura Parker. I put a picture
or
of
Sydney
Parker.
Shore.
Yeah, and
Sydney Sweeney or Sydney Shore. It's a tough call.
So,
you remember Sydney Shore, Alan?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God, that was the Tony Randall sitcom of the '80s with Susie Kurtz.
Oh, Sydney, yes.
Yeah, my God, that was great.
Yeah, it was. It was a landmark because he was a gay character. And in the '80s, in particular, when we're right there in the middle of the AIDS crisis,
And really right.
Yeah.
I think that thing came on in 84 or 85.
Yes. So, yes, I do remember it now. I didn't remember his name was Shore. That's all. I do remember.
I think Sidney Shore as a character in this would be amazing if we could rig up a CGI Tony Randall.
Would he be a mentor to Leonard? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Leonard's new love interest.
Yes.
There you go.
The older man.
Yeah.
Got it.
Favorite scene in this episode?
There's so many for me.
Let's start with the mausoleum basement of the church.
God, I love that one.
Scene. That for me was kind of because it's so it's not like dun, dun, horror. It's not like that at all. It's very contemplative. They're trying to figure this out, and they're noticing dates on the coffins and all of this sort of thing, and they're also sort of having this existential conversation during the whole thing. So that's got to be my favorite scene. It's the most layered scene, I think, in the episode for me.
I got two. The morgue, and
But one for me and one for you. Yeah.
and Happy and laid out in the rain. I mean, that's just funny.
Well, yes, that's
just funny.
That was quite hilarious.
That's just funny.
Especially after he pretty much laid the guy out himself, and then he just kind of like got cold cocked upside the head when he wasn't looking. But
The coldest.
Sucker punch.
Yep, it was a sucker
Jewel,
punch.
we often see dates on coffins. Why no figs? It's just a question. I don't know.
Corpses don't eat figs; they only eat dates. They're more hydrating.
Somebody
Less mummifying.
If somebody delivers a diss line to you, just deliver the line to them like, "Look, you bitches couldn't find dates on a tombstone."
It's interesting. Dr. Pepper is a prune-based soft drink.
It is. Keeps you regular.
To lighten it up, you have
you
to, you can improve a Dr. Pepper with a splash of blue Powerade.
Oh, God.
No, hear me out, because it's raspberry flavored.
Okay.
And it brightens the prune, which can be a little heavy. Brightening the prune, in fact, was supposed to be the last of the Jewel of the Nile, Romancing the Stone movies.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Brightening the prune. They were very old at that point, which they are now. And you had a splash of blue Powerade, and then a splash of lemonade, which cuts the overextended sweetness.
The sweetness, yeah, sure.
And believe it or not, you add just a splash of both of those to a Dr. Pepper. Lovely beverage.
Mm-hmm. The old traditional with Dr. Pepper years and years ago, a Southern thing especially, was to drop a bunch of peanuts in.
Oh, that's also done with Coke. Yeah, boiled peanuts.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of the boiled peanuts scene in this, or is it at the beginning of season 3? Oh, it's the beginning of season 3.
Yeah.
There's a very funny bit of boiled peanuts gag that's done. It's worth the entire season for this beautiful misunderstanding and the way Hap appears to some very sensible people.
Well, he does appear rather nonplussed in front of sensitive people.
Challenged. He's very challenged in this case.
Yes.
Leonard, behind his back, accuses him of being a tad slow.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shows up and just grinning like a goof. Oh, boiled peanuts, I don't have leave, dear. Oh. And he looks exactly the way Leonard described him without even playing it up.
Yeah.
Interesting episode for sure.
It's a nice build for what's to come, like a lot of them are. I mean, everything is so well connected in this series, but this episode in particular has a lot going for it in terms of doing that. So
this is a real, this series is a real tribute to the notion of trusting the text.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the text.
You also have a very character layered show here too.
You do. You have a lot of actors.
It's not just Hap and Leonard. You have the two detectives who are trying to look into things, but they also know there's corruption going on, so they can't reveal their hand because they don't know what will happen to them. You have Brian Dennehy's character, the sheriff, whose son is an idiot.
But he's a great idiot. The actor who's playing him.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, he's fantastic.
John McConnell. God bless him.
Yeah. So you got a lot of layered characters.
You do. And they all understand what it is they're doing, which is not always true with episodic television. Sometimes it doesn't seem like the actor is connected enough to the character to not distract you. But in this case, these guys know what's going on. They've read the books. I'm sure they were all given a copy of the book if they hadn't already read it. And they understand the motivations and the inner thoughts of these guys. And that is an enormous help because sometimes they're all over the place. You know, they're going from pillar to post and back again with various events that are happening and many times in the same episode.
Is there a book that you guys like to see become a TV show or a story that hasn't become one?
Gore Vidal's Lincoln.
Yeah. There's one called Blue Movie by Terry Southern. That's a riot.
He's great. He's a great
riot.
I mean,
it's one of those. He only wrote a few novels. He mostly wrote short stories. But Blue
lots of screenplays.
A lot of screenplays, sure. Yeah. But Blue Movie has not been filmed in any way, and oh my God, it's so grotesque in the best way. There's a book by Harry Crews called Feast of Snakes, which if you like Hap and Leonard, if you like this kind of universe, I don't know if you really like it, but you know you're fascinated by it. Feast of Snakes, I can't recommend highly enough. It's not a mystery, except what compels you to keep reading it. After certain moments, it's rough.
Yeah.
But Crews is an excellent writer, so I would say that. There were some Evening Shade novelizations I think should be filmed. But you mentioned one thing. I'm trying to contribute anything of value to earn my keep.
You're doing fine.
So Jewel doesn't fire me. He's always threatening to do. You know, McCray,
I know it's always hanging over you.
He's always banging his desk saying, "I want pictures of Spider-Man." Rip Torn. Rip Torn was beloved by certain people very close to the production of Men in Black.
Yes.
Because this is a true story, because I think maybe he was the only cast member who read the comics or who took the job based on the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, what a guy.
Yeah.
Knocking over liquor stores and reading
Yeah. I was about to
comic
say.
books. It's a good life.
Of all the things that Rip Torn ever did, and he did plenty of things that got him into serious trouble.
But Men in Black
he took his job seriously. There's no doubt about that.
He did, and I just love the fact that he loved those comics. I mean, that's marvelous.
Yeah.
He's not the only one.
It's getting down to basics in terms of knowing what the story's all about.
You know who else read the comics, don't you? An avid comic reader, Michael Jackson, who was
read the Men in Black comics.
Yeah, he read them.
How do you know that?
Because he was an avid comic book collector. Actually, Michael Jackson once bought the entire Torah comics.
I'm sorry. He bought the Torah.
Torah.
As opposed to the Torah.
Okay, I thought the Torah had been made into some comic book. It was on these two scrolls.
He was
in a very hip synagogue.
An avid comic book collector.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that a bit. I mean, he was, if nothing else, the guy was in touch with his childhood that he never had when he was an actual child.
He was known for at Comic-Con and at a famous Monsters oriented convention in the early 90s, putting on, this is true, unbelievably accurate Nosferatu makeup.
Oh, no kidding.
And costuming and just walking freely around the convention.
Sure, because nobody would know who he was.
Nobody knew. I mean, I don't think they really had to do a lot with the face or the facial features by that point. And they were pretty much ghostly white and strangely You know, I mean, dress the guy up as Skeletor.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you really could now. Anyway, Jewel,
Shroud.
what did I say?
That comment was just shroud.
It was really terrible.
And inappropriate.
It was really terrible.
Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Oh God, we really discussed him now. What do you say?
It's like the late. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Yeah, when are we doing the next one?
Tomorrow, goddammit, tomorrow.
Well, wait, I'm there because the sun will have come out and have gone away.
Episode 5, eh?
You
Episode
know,
5.
You know what we're doing tomorrow? The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. No, we're going to do it happen later.
Jewel, if you scratch, I'll sniff.
Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Daybook About is going to be the description box. Link to Alan Glenn's YouTube channel, Calling Sport After Dark, is going to be the description box. You guys have a safe night. Take care.
Take care, Jewel. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, right.
Especially morally.
Oh, my God.